You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
All right, good morning, LA. Welcome back to another edition of the talk show LA40 here on LA Talk Radio and TV. I'm your host, Katerina Cozias. It is a little past the hour and it is raining in Los Angeles today, which, people see a little bit of rain and they freak out. So big shout out today to my special guest, Miss Jennifer Diepstraten, who is sitting here to my left, for making the drive up from San Diego today.
Thanks for having me.
I was thinking about you on the way because I thought, there is so much traffic today. The one day you took the time to come up to our studios and share your wisdom with us is the one day it rains all year.
Well, it was a harrowing drive, but totally uneventful, so happy to be here.
Fantastic. And we're happy to have you with us if you're watching in the audience. If you're tuning in via Facebook, thank you for joining us. And of course, if you're following us on LA Talk Radio, well, you should be. We are going to be delving into the importance of selling to serve. Now, what does that mean and why is it important? How many of you out there are business owners? And if you're not a business owner, how many of you have been to businesses where you are being pitched or where you're wanting to buy something? Jennifer Diepstraten is the founder and CEO of a company called Sorry, Jennifer. High Ticket Sales Success. And you are championing getting people out of a mindset where sales are bad into a place where you actually sell to serve. So what I'd love for you to talk about to start with us is, how did you start this company and where did you come from to really start championing sales?
Well, I'll tell you, Katerina, and I'm so excited to be here because if you're in business, the lifeblood of your business is sales.
Right.
Like the dollars that flow in, otherwise it's not a business, it's a hobby. And what I discovered is that where it started for me was I was incredibly shy growing up. And I really was uncomfortable talking to strangers or even non-strangers. And what I realized is if I could figure out this one thing, which is how to talk to people I didn't know and have the kind of influence that I wanted, that it would change everything for me. And it really did.
Can you be shy and in sales at the same time? Or did you have to change your personality?
Okay, I definitely am not as shy as I used to be, but I'll tell you what, Katerina, I am still shy. If you go to a party and you'll find me in the kitchen with the host, really. So, but you can definitely be shy and great at sales. In fact, some of the best salespeople I know are very serious introverts. And can I give a little tip about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that I noticed as I was coming out of my shell, so to speak, is that it was easier for other people to talk than for me to talk. So I got really great at asking questions. And what I discovered is that if you ask really great questions, your ideal prospects will literally sell themselves into what it is that you have.
So it doesn't matter what your product is as long as you're asking the right question.
Well, obviously there has to be some match, but if you're in a conversation and they're interested and they're sharing because you're asking great questions, your expertise comes across in the questions you ask.
Well, and what I love about the programs that you offer and the work that you do is you actually, you not only teach people how to be successful in sales, but you also work on their mindset around sales. So let's be honest, people hear sales and they think, used car salesman, it's got a little negative connotation. How can one get around that in their own mind so that they can go out confidently to sell their services?
I love this question because, if you look at the negative connotation around sales, it's pretty rampant. I don't know when the snake oil salesman thing came along, and then somehow the used car salesman, I'm so sorry, guys.
With the bad suits, right?
I don't know how they ended up with the bad rap. But if you look at the icons in our culture that we respect, Mother Teresa, Oprah Winfrey, even Jim Carrey, right? That a lot of people have positive attitudes towards, those people are serving. We think of them as being in service of others, whereas sales is automatically thought of as taking, right? As something that people are getting taken by. And I think where we're going now is that people are too savvy to really fall prey for the most part. I mean, maybe still there's some things that happen, but for the most part, we're getting so savvy that you can't do sales in that way anymore. And so the model that people have been using, like my customers, my clients come to me and they say, Jennifer, I need to sell, but I also serve people. How can I take when I'm here to serve? And so here it is. You want to shift the thinking to realize that the true meaning of sales is service. It really is, because how can you serve someone if they don't interact and then purchase?
Well, and the thing is with purchases, people, especially it's Christmas season, right? And so people are a little, they're watching the purse strings a little bit. And I think, in January comes around, you don't think to budget for Christmas time. So what advice would you give people who are wanting to close off their year strong? Perhaps they have a product or a service they're offering, but they're thinking, well, I can't really give it out at Christmas time. Is that just a fallacy, or can they really finish off the year strong?
I think you can absolutely finish the year strong. In fact, I would highly encourage you to look at your goals. And we do this in our own business, in our personal life too, with my husband. We look at our goals that we set at the beginning of the year, and we pull them out around this time of year and look and say, what would it really take to meet that one goal? Like if I want to have an outstanding 2018 and I want to have an amazing December, what do I actually have to do? And you know what you have to do? You have to make phone calls.
You actually have to talk to people.
You have to make phone calls. And here's the thing. There's so much around sales reluctance. People don't want to pick up the phone, and we will think of any excuse not to do it. Right?
We will think of any excuse not to make the call or not to pick up the phone.
Well, both.
Okay. Well, and I think part of that, I don't know if this has hit you at all, but those telemarketers that have your phone number and they just keep hitting you up. And so I had a call this morning thinking it's going to be one of those prank calls. Thankfully, I answered it because it was from a number I didn't know, and it was an important call that I had to take. But back to your point about making the calls, and I think that's what holds people back, is they don't want to be disruptive, they don't want to be imposing, and yet if you don't actively pitch your services, pitch your product, how are you actively expected to make the money? There is a gender gap, if you will, when it comes to wages. We've been talking about this for years and years and years. It's still prevalent as we're heading into 2019. Can you speak to that a little bit for us?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I was doing some research on this. I found a Forbes article that was talking about how women-owned businesses bring in an average revenue that's 60% lower than men-owned businesses in our country.
Wow. And 60%?
60%.
So, because I was doing a little research as well, so there's 9 million female-owned entrepreneurial businesses in America right now. It's bringing in about $1.4 trillion worth of business. And you're telling me that if we match the numbers up to the men-owned entrepreneurial businesses, it's going to be 60% less income?
Yeah, I think you mean there's about 970,000 female-owned attributed to 1.4 trillion. Right, but whereas the men are bringing in about 7.5 times more money collectively. And then we're talking about small businesses with fewer than 500 employees.
Now, why do you think that is?
Why do you think? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're not selling. Ladies, we're not selling because we haven't gotten into an alignment around the service we want to provide and the sales dollars that need to come in. You are never going to be able to put yourself into a sales situation where you feel good about taking something from someone. And if that's in the way of you being able to make a sale, then we got to fix that.
How do you fix that?
Well, my whole business is actually built around how to shift how you see selling and the skill set of doing it well. Because here's what I've really seen. When you really are great at sales and you are coming from a highest place to empower someone to really move forward in their life, you truly are serving them. So the service comes first.
And I think I want to touch on something you just said there, which is empowerment, right? We fail to recognize that a lot of the times the services that we're offering are there to help empower the other person with respect to what they need. And so in your case, a lot of your business is built around shifting the mindset for people. Conscious capitalism is something that is dear to my heart. And it's something that a lot of female-owned and operated businesses are moving towards, because I think it's time now, and the world is sort of fiending right now for female DNA, irrespective of gender. We're going, and I really feel this shift, and let me know if you agree or not, but we're moving away from a competitive, masculine, kick the ladder down, keep the other guy back, to more of a collaborative, how can we all come to the table? What can we offer each other so that we can collectively lift this vibration and actually move forward? We need to step into a place of conscious capitalism. Yes, we want to make money, but we want it to be purpose-driven as well. At least a lot of the conversations we're having now are built around that.
I totally agree. And I don't think it's particular to women. I think there's millions of men out there who also, we all have a vision for how to make the world better, or we have a vision of a better world. And so having a more conscious way of doing business where you're collaborating, where you're empowering people, I think it's the only way to go. I think the businesses that aren't doing, you see they're like dinosaurs dying out.
Well, speaking of dying out and dinosaurs, you come from a background which is very corporate. You spent many years in sales and medical sales. And then one day you decided to shift that and move into the world of entrepreneurship. So how did that happen for you? Because we have a lot of people are watching this that are wanting and making that shift. How did you make that shift?
Okay, so I used to work in biotech and medical diagnostics. My customers were doctors, scientists, veterinarians, and I was in a definitely male-dominated industry. The last job that I had, which was over 5 years ago, there were about 45 salespeople nationwide. This is an international, very well-known company. And at the top of the sales ladder year after year were me and the one other woman we had on our sales force. And I just thought it was interesting. It's like, why are we so successful here? And so to speak to that idea of collaboration is we cared. We really cared. And I'm not saying
the women
yes,
salesmen.
Well, and I'm not saying that the men didn't care. It's just I was so shy when I first went into sales. I learned how to really care about people and have influence in my way. And over the years, people would call me at the end of the year and say, Jennifer, I've got $50,000 left that I can spend. What have you got that you can sell me? Because the trust is real.
I was going to say, because you developed that relationship first. Do you think women are better at doing that than men? Or do you think that's a stigma that we've placed on the respective genders?
I think it's a stigma. I do. I think that it's, I don't particularly market directly to women. I attract a lot of women because they like my sales style and how I teach women to sell in a way that feels great. But I think that there are men out there that could and do care in that way.
I think so too. No, absolutely. And that's why I was saying, irrespective of gender, it's just an energy of wanting to build that trust, build that loyalty, build that relationship, so that you're right. When someone has $50,000 left in their budget at the end of the year, you're the person they call. So here you are, you're killing it in corporate sales, and all of a sudden you decide, no more for me. How come?
So I leave. I left 5 years ago. Oh my gosh, there was something that I knew that there was a bigger thing that I was being called to do, really. And my company was grooming me. They kept bringing me to different trainings to get promoted. And it was funny because as I looked up the corporate ladder, everyone who had a job that was senior to me worked harder, were less appreciated, and made less money. And that wasn't okay for me. I have small children. I had small children at the time. And I thought, you know what, why do I want to move up into something I'm going to like less, have less time for my family, and make less money? That's crazy. But there's the prestige that comes with the title. And so I thought, well, I could probably run this company. Maybe I could, maybe I couldn't. I was, arrogant at the time about it. Then I quit. Because I remember, and I'll tell you, Katerina, I remember it so clearly. I was sitting on the foot of my bed with my son, who was 10 at the time, my oldest son, who was 10. And it was about 2 or 3 years I'd felt this kind of boiling up inside. Like, I've got more I can give. There's more I can do. There's a bigger impact I can make in this world. What am I going to do? But I was the only breadwinner at the time of our family of 4. And I looked at my son and I said, what should I do? I can either stay at this job, we make great money, I'm okay, it's not a bad job, I was certainly grateful, or I can leave, start this thing on my own. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I know that it's in my heart. And my son looked at me and he said, Mom, you should follow your heart.
10 years old.
Yeah. And so I did. And when I told him, it was funny too, because when I told him I left my job, he looked at me and his eyes got real big, round as saucers, and he says, Mom, I hope it works.
So you leave your job and you step into a new path with faith. As an emerging entrepreneur, how difficult was that transition for you?
It was hard.
Okay. As I just want to be honest with people, because we do have a lot of people that, they call in and they say, I've been in corporate, I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA, I've been doing it for 20 years, but I feel a calling, a longing, a passion to do something more. They want to make that transition. I want you to be honest with us. It's not necessarily always roses.
I don't think it's roses. In fact, I think that road is harder in a lot of ways. But the rewards are greater. The risk is bigger. The rewards are greater. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I certainly was not equipped, having been a really fantastic employee. I was certainly not equipped when I left to become a successful entrepreneur. I had to learn that.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is learning and developing and growing and transitioning. If we're not doing that, we're actually sliding backwards. And I think every day when we wake up, we have a choice. We have a choice to either ascend or we have a choice to start descending. And it really is a choice in putting some metrics in place for your life. When you mentor people, and one of the things that I like about what you and I do is we both have a mindset element to the work that we do. You are a premium transformational leading expert in your field of high-ticket sales. I am the same thing, but in my wheelhouse of media and communications. And yet, we both mentor people on the importance of mindset, because I think you'll agree with me. If you don't first cultivate a belief in self, how do you show up for your business?
You really can't. A great teacher said once to me that your business will only grow as fast as you do. So every time we hit a plateau, which some people would call a ceiling, I call it a launch pad. Every time we hit a launch pad or a plateau, it's, okay, where do I need to grow? What do I not see that I need to grow and expand into? Where am I not leading? Where am I not selling? Where am I not seizing opportunity? Where am I being too careful? Where am I not taking risks? Where are my blind spots? And I'm continuously looking for them, because if I don't take care of those, the company will just get as big as I can hold. Right? I'm the ultimate container, because everything, it flows through me. So if I don't get bigger, more can't come in.
Right. And the thing with having more come in is then you set yourself up so that you can take that breath. I think a lot of times what stresses people out is the fact that they are looking at a limited view of their reality, which says, I have X amount in my bank account, and oh my goodness, it's starting to dwindle. And they start to allow the stress, the anxiety, which is very fair. If you've got 4 kids at home, you're the breadwinner, you've got a mortgage payment coming up, and oh shoot, it's Christmas in 3 weeks, you're going to be a little bit stressed. So how do you work with people to get them to recognize, because one of the things that I love about your programs is not only do you teach people the art of selling, but you also teach them the value of recognizing the value of their own program. So it's high ticket sales success for a reason, because a lot of times the people you work with take their ticket item, $2,000 program, talk to you for a few months, and all of a sudden it's a $6,000 program. So explain that to me, the value of recognizing your own value.
Yeah, this is actually a very common occurrence in our business. Is we work on 2 levels. One is on the belief level. And I would not say I'm a mindset coach. There are so many experts on mindset and money. I'm truly a sales trainer, and what I do is I help you to connect to the true value of what it is that you have to offer. And if you're a transformational coach, or you're a consultant, or you provide any kind of expertise or healing where you're fundamentally changing someone's life, you got to take a close look at that and realize your value that you're providing is priceless. It really is priceless. And so if we can think of the value of what you're providing as separate from the price tag you have to put on it, and you have to price it because it's commerce, but that's not the value.
And so if you can step into owning the value, you're more likely to increase the ticket price, which is more likely to get you that cash flow.
Absolutely, because look, any business coach can tell you you need to raise your prices. They do it all the time. But do you actually raise your prices?
No, because I think, again, going back to belief in self, a lot of people think, well, if I price it at this point, then I'm more likely to get a no from someone else. So that goes into concerns of rejection. How often do you work with people that are worried about rejection? I mean, that's a pretty fair, valid thing to worry about, no?
Yeah, I mean that's what gets in the way of the sale. If here it is. If every person you talk to you knew were going to say yes, you wouldn't never stop calling people. I mean, right? You would just be doing it all the time. So it is about putting your mindset in a place where you can see that you're providing something of service and connecting to your own value in a real way, not just on paper. It's not just, it's now 6,000 because I told you so, but because you actually see it. So can I share a little, like an analogy of how we do this work to grow their value? So I want you to imagine that I've got a big pile of toys in my living room, which I frequently do. I've got 3 sons. And I take that pile of toys and I put them out on the driveway because I'm going to have a garage sale. And I price the pile of toys at $200.
Okay. For all the toys.
For all the toys. A big pile, cool. $200.
Go to her house.
Great. A lot of toys in my house. Now, we go through a process that we do in our company. This is the first process that we do with every single client, no matter where they're coming in, whether it's in our small groups or in our year-long or private coaching. And we first take a look and we see Legos. So I start to pull out the Legos. I put the Legos in a pile. Okay. Pulling them out, right? Yeah. She's pulling out the Legos. Okay. The next thing I do is I see dinosaurs. So I take all the dinosaurs and I put those in a pile. And then I see Hot Wheels cars and Hot Wheels tracks. I put those in a pile. Did I say I had 3 sons? Okay, it's all boys' toys. All right. And I keep going until I finally have 5 piles. Now, because I've got a garage sale and I've got to price what I have, now I'm looking at the Legos and I think, wow, you know what's in this Lego pile? Just in this one Lego pile is like 14 Star Wars ships. And I think about what we've done with them as a family. Pretty much as a rule, Wednesday night at our house is family night. That means there's no TV, there's no cell phones. We usually do something together as a family, and the older boys will build something, and the baby will come through and he'll wreck it. We call him Babyzilla. And I start to realize that the value of the Legos all by themselves in this pile is $200. Wow. And then I look at the dinosaurs, and I think about where I got them, and I go through the same process, and I realize, you know what? These dinosaurs are worth $200 all by themselves. The Hot Wheels cars and the tracks, oh my gosh, they're $200 also. So pretty soon I realized that I've got 5 piles, each worth $200. So all of a sudden I've got $1,000 worth of value, and I started out with $200. Now, what I want you to notice, if you're an entrepreneur, when you go to raise your prices, what do you usually do? Most of us, and it's so normal, is we look and we try to add more stuff to justify the price. Okay, but what did I do in my analogy here is I didn't add anything. I didn't build anything. I didn't print out any instructions. I didn't give more time away. I didn't do anything except for I started to recognize one thing. What's unique and specific and highly attractive about what I have. And when entrepreneurs start to really connect with what's unique and specific and highly attractive about what it is that they have, and this is a process, a trademarked process, quantum benefits process that I coined in our company, your value starts to expand and you don't give more away.
Well, you don't give more away because you finally recognize the value of what you have already created.
Right, and most people that I come across, and a lot of ladies and a lot of the men that work with us as well, they realize, oh my gosh, I've been underselling this, but I didn't know how to feel good about a price increase until this process.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that process with us. It's, it's a great analogy because you don't normally think of deconstructing your own business. And yet when you put it in that, sort of bucket, you're thinking, okay, look at all the value I'm actually creating.
Absolutely. And I want to say this is different than regular benefits. Like a lot of people know what the benefits of their services are. What we do is we want to recognize the quantum benefits. And a quantum benefit is something that is worth the entire price of admission all by itself. And you've got 4 or 5 of them. So really what you're selling is probably worth 4 or 5 times what you're asking.
That's a nice little tip, Jen. All right. So now you have this business, you're running with it, and you're looking at the future. You're looking at 5 years out. Where is your business going 5 years from now?
We are the premier sales training company for entrepreneurs. Like, you become an entrepreneur, you come to High Ticket Sales Success, you learn how to sell like a boss.
There you go. And talking about boss, I have seen you on stage. I have been in attendance at some of your conferences located, well, you've been doing them mostly in California. Are you taking it national?
Yes.
Okay, great.
We actually work with people all over North America.
Yeah, I think it's important that if you're in business, and especially if you're in business for yourself, that you pick up the tools that you need. And it goes back to what you had said about growing yourself. How important have mentors been in your life? Or mentors, or not even mentors so much. I'm going to take that back. Experts in their own respective fields.
Well, experts for sure. I mean, I have a whole team of experts. I try to be the dumbest person in the room. Like, no kidding. Like, I want to lean on experts because there are people that know a lot more than I do in their respective fields. Can't run a business without a team of experts. And mentors. I always have a mentor, Katerina. It's absolutely a must because people have been down the road before you. Let's not reinvent the wheel.
Well, it's funny when you talk about mentors. I had been watching an Oprah episode. This was years ago. And Lisa Nichols was on Oprah. Lisa Nichols had just, she'd just been featured in The Secret, and she was there sort of sharing her stuff. And Oprah had asked her on stage, on the show, Oprah says, how many mentors or coaches do you have? And Lisa says, I have 2. And Oprah says, okay, that's great. And at commercial break, Lisa says to Oprah, how many do you have? And Oprah says, I have 4. Lisa Nichols says she got out of the show, walked to her car in the parking lot, in the car, phoned 2 more coaches, and said, if Oprah has 4, I am definitely getting 4. And I think that's one thing when I work with people is I like to remind them of what you just said, which is someone has been where you are. And I think, again, working in this conscious capitalism collective space, someone is always going to be a couple of steps ahead of you, but you are also going to be a couple of steps ahead of someone else. And so I like to see the advancement of everyone, especially in commerce, especially for women in commerce, as sort of a sliding scale where you're reaching your hand up to be pulled by the person that's a little bit further ahead of you, but at the same time, you're refining yourself and what you have to offer, so your hand then goes back to help up whoever's coming behind you.
That's a beautiful image.
Right? And it's just a collective staircase of advancement for everyone. Speaking of advancement, Jennifer, I want to share with you, and I want to share with our audience, for those of you who are watching, we are going to be hosting a conference. I say we, it's the group that I'm involved with. Smart Women International is putting on a conference called Smart Women in Business, Smart Women Rising in Business. This conference is going to take place on February 14th and 15th, and it is going to be around bringing smart women in business who are looking for purpose-driven opportunity, conscious capitalism, but also have a voice and want to help shift out of the apathy that we hold towards violence against women and some of the things that globally are affecting the opportunity that women have to rise. 1 in 3 women internationally will be beaten or raped in her lifetime. There's 3 billion women on the planet, so do the math. And there are a lot of us who are very highly protected and favored who can do something about that. So if you'd like to join this cause, to join us on February 14th and 15th, I'll let you know more about that a little bit later. But the reason I wanted to bring this up in your show, Jennifer, is because you are someone who is using her voice, using her talents, recognize that, yes, I can stay in this cushy job that I have, and I can continue to get the 401k plan, and I can continue to get the corner office, I can have the cushy job title, or I can listen to that little voice in my heart, that little longing that says, but what are you doing really in life? How are you feeling now with respect to purpose and alignment for yourself?
I feel amazing. I wouldn't trade a day. Even the hardest days are worth it. You know, it's easy when it's easy, and it's not so easy when it's not so easy. But that's really the test. I think that's what makes us leaders. It's what makes us someone that people trust. I wouldn't trade it for anything because I get to write my own future.
Yeah, I think, I'm a big believer in we get to script our own reality and we get to script our own lives. And the one thing that I can't handle personally is a bunch of people complaining. If you're complaining, then do something about it. Otherwise, just put a pretty smile on your face and don't talk, right? But we have the opportunity to do something and to move ourselves forward. So I'm happy you did that. Talk to me about those days when things aren't going well.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that? Because it's not all roses. We talked about that already. So some advice to someone who may be stuck in something right now where they're feeling that heaviness.
Okay. Well, the first thing I do, I have a lot of things. Oh, and ladies, if you want to do self-care, like I know self-care is a big message right now out there, do it. It's not selfish. And actually, that's one of the things that I do. I actually have a regimen of taking an Epsom salt bath 3 to 4 or 5 times a week. And it's like required by my whole family, because when mama's happy, the rest of the family is happy. So if I'm a little bit on edge, my sons now run over and draw me a bath and say, Mom, we've got everything. We've got the dishes. We'll clean up the house. You go take a bath, because we have a lot on our plates. Right? And not that they don't, but I think taking care of ourselves is really important. So one of the things I do is, if I'm really having a hard day, take a bath, go for a walk. I love nature. I do a lot of hiking, walking on the beach, walking in the mountains, and I have a meditation practice. I meditate every day.
Do you? Yeah.
Not without fail. I can't say it's 100% of the time, but my intent is to meditate on a daily basis, because we just start to unwind a lot of the stuff and reconnect to our higher purpose and the good that we really are receiving.
And I like the word receiving, because a lot of times we have blocks around receiving, right? And again, it goes back to our self-worth. And one thing that I've noticed is your self-worth is equal to your net worth. You cannot do well in business if you don't genuinely cultivate a sense of self-worth. And part of what you said too that I think is important, which is the self-care. A friend of mine calls it, you take a sabbatical, even if it's like a 10-minute sabbatical from your family, but she's reframed it as a soul-batical, because you are nurturing your soul. And if your soul is nurtured, you're in a position to actually contribute and also to actually receive. And I think a lot of women feel a sense of loyalty to everyone but themselves. And if more people can recognize, and the airlines have done this, right? The airlines say, put the mask on yourself first and then the other person. And yet most people don't do that, right? We give, and then we're exhausted and wonder why our business isn't working.
Yeah, the fastest way I know how to regenerate myself is actually through meditation. There's a Zen Buddhist saying that says, you should meditate 20 minutes every day. Unless it's a particularly busy day, then you should meditate for an hour. And I love this because it really speaks to how much our inner alignment and our own tapping into inspiration, into higher consciousness, really it's the biggest lever that we have to grow our business without struggle. Because I think a lot of people are kind of muscling their way through and really trying very hard. And I think I have a great work ethic. I'm all for working hard. And I think sometimes by working less hard and really getting another perspective, we can see moves that instead of it taking 10 moves to get to something that we want to get to, it takes 1 or 2 elegant moves.
I was going to say, when you're in alignment, your world starts to shift and flow with a grace and an ease. And we've been sold this notion generally that it has to be hard, you have to struggle, you have to strive, you have to sacrifice. And the question is, do you really? Or can you get to a place where, because of the alignment, because of the calm that you're feeling, you begin to magnetize at a different level?
I think so. I mean, one of the things we talk about in our company is millionaire sales mindset. Like, what has to happen between your ears to really be the kind of person that can attract and hold and deliver at that level? And I don't know if it's a sacrifice, but I think there's choices. I think we need to be highly conscious of the choices we're making, because both with money and with time, every dollar, every moment is spoken for. Let's be really intentional about how we use it. So would people say I sacrifice things because I work a lot? I don't know. But what I would say is I'm consciously choosing how I spend my time, because I can either spend it this way or that way. What's my choice? It's like, what do you want and what do you really, really want?
Well, I think it's important to allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to get intentional. Any last words around sales advice for people that want to really kill it in 2019? A lot of business owners watching. What can they do from a sales perspective to set themselves up for 2019 success?
Okay, the first thing you have to do is really get that sales is about, I call it the ABCs.
Okay.
Number one, or letter A, is you have to take action. The money's not going to fall on your head out of the sky. Sorry for the bad news. You got to take action, and you want to take aligned action. How you take aligned action is B, believe in what it is that you're offering. Okay? And C, communicate the value of it. You have to choose words that communicate the value to the other person so that they get it and want to pay you for it. So that's the gap for most people, is they're either not taking action, they're not believing in what they're selling at the fullest level, or they're not communicating the value in an effective way. If you do all three of those, you're in a good shape.
And you're in good shape if you want to follow Jennifer and the work that she does. Jennifer, how can people find you?
You can find me at highticketsalessuccess.com.
highticketsalessuccess.com for anybody in business, for anybody wanting to increase their capacity to close the sale, to make the sale, to offer the service, and also to recognize, I think this is something that you said that was pivotal, what are your quantum benefits? Have you even identified what those are in your business? And once you do, how do you effectively communicate those? That is what Jennifer and her team is a genius at helping you do. If you are not following Jennifer, please do. What are some of your social media handles?
High Ticket Sales Success with Jennifer Diepstraten is my Facebook. You can find us at facebook.com/highticketsales. We're also on LinkedIn and YouTube, High Ticket Sales Success.
Excellent. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom around high ticket sales, around just mastering the value of self, and of course for making that drive from rainy San Diego to rainy Los Angeles today. Very much appreciated. Any final words? Anything you want to leave us with?
Just remember that your value is priceless, and that your thing, your offer matters to people. It will change lives.
It will change lives. And we thank you for spending your time with us. Again, for those of you that want to change some lives, please hit us up. Again, we have our conference coming up on February 14th and 15th. If you're in business and you're a woman in business, or you're a man who has championing women's causes and understands the importance of really lifting the vibration of the planet because of the collective work we're all doing, shout out to us. We're going to be sending more information through over the course of these coming weeks. Jennifer, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.